Hello there, hello to you all, hello to everyone, all my fellow human beings, regardless of who you are and where you come from. Yes, Hirsch Saha here, reporting from Auckland, New Zealand, and today is Thursday, the 21st of May, 2026. So, yes, this talk video just talking about a very simple concept, which it still never ceases to amaze me how many people just don't quite understand or fully understand. And it first occurred to me when I was the building manager at a large residential complex here in Auckland, up on Auckland's North Shore in the suburb of Albany, the residential complex known as the Grange. And I was its building manager. This was from late 2012 to late 2015, just over 3 years. And I remember like how we, of course, had car parks for specific units. And then we also had visitor car parks, of course, for visitors, people visiting the complex, usually guests of those who live there, or people that to quickly drop in for something, say a meter reader, or perhaps a contractor undergoing some work or maintenance or what have you. And I remember how it might sound and seem harmless, but you'd get people residents who lived at the complex who perhaps had a second vehicle, but not a second car park. And they would sometimes park their second vehicle in the visitors' car park, and we'd have to give them warnings. No, sorry, you can't park there because those car parks are for the visitors of everyone, all the 105 units at the complex, and it might seem harmless, but really you can't park there and would give people warnings and sometimes would even have them towed. I still sometimes feel a bit bad, even today, just sometimes when we had people towed for something which didn't seem like a huge offense, but still, that's how we had to handle it. And especially after giving them a number of warnings not to park there. And of course, when their car is towed, they have to go to the tow yard and, of course, pay a couple $100 or whatever it was to get their car back. But the thing is, people would always complain against this, and of course, some people would get actually quite agitated about it. I do remember that. You always had people who were difficult in every situation, regardless of whether it's a workplace or, say, a church or a school or a complex, a residential complex, or what have you. Any group of people, you always have people who are difficult. You always have that one person, right, who's just very, very difficult, right? Have you ever noticed that? Regardless of where you are, or what firm you work in, or and some people were very difficult, yes, and but people would always complain, it's like, oh, come on, there are so many empty visitor car parks, why can't you just let me just park there? Come on, just let me park. Well, then that's unfair on all the other people who can't park there, who are pretty much equally entitled to park like yourself, or especially to other people who have to even pay to rent a car park for their second car, right? That's unfair on them, right? And people are like, oh, but what about that car and that visitor park? It's like, well, yes, he's an actual visitor. He's an actual visitor. It's like, okay, what about that car and that car visitor park? It's like, yes, he's also a visitor, or he's got permission just to park there for a short time, things like that. Got very agitated and they got very angry over those things, as I'm sure you could imagine, But I try to explain to people so many times, usually with failures, that it's just such a simple concept. It's like there are so many empty visitor car parks in our complex. And I'm sure you're saying, just let me park. It's fine. There are so many empty visitor car parks already, as if it's going to make any difference. But the reason why there are so empty visitor car parks at the complex at pretty much any one time is because we keep a constant eye on them, and because we warn people who illegally or wrongfully park in them. And of course, we keep giving them warnings. And if they still do it, they eventually get towed. So hopefully then they get the picture. They finally get the message. There are so many empty visitor car parks because we're constantly watching them and are fairly strict on them. That's why. If we didn't watch them at all, if we didn't take any action or any kind of enforcement, they would fill up in no time, right? And it's a very simple concept that you'll find so many people just don't understand, or maybe they just kind of don't want to understand, especially if it's against their personal or best interests. It's like, all those people you see who run every day, who go on a long run every morning before work, before even getting ready, before taking a shower, and you think, why do they keep running every day? Why do they keep going to the gym every day when they're already so thin and fit? Well, they're so thin and fit because they run every day. They're so thin and fit because they go to the gym every day. It was like, that guy is so wealthy. How many properties does he own? What is his even passive income? But yet he's so frugal with money. Well, maybe that's partly why he's so wealthy, because he's so frugal with money. He's good with his money. He's conservative with his money. He doesn't just spend willy-nilly. He watches his spending. Therefore, he saves a lot and he puts those into, productive investments, and then those investments grow, or he pays off loans and therefore saves all that interest he would otherwise have to pay on those loans, for example. So it's amazing. It's a very simple concept, but many people just don't get it. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, how come you keep watching your eating? You're always on a diet when you're so thin. It's like, well, that's why I am thin, because I'm always on a diet. You know, I think you get the picture. I think you get the idea. So, but yeah, it's just a simple concept I found, at least in my experience, that a lot of people just don't seem to get. Yeah, why are those? Why do they keep running every day when they're so thin and fit? It's like, sorry, you might ask, why do they keep running every day when they're already so thin and fit? Well, they're so thin and fit because they run every day. So yeah, something to really think about and hopefully remember. I just wish everyone suddenly heard this or this video and suddenly took it on board. I think that would make all of our lives just that much easier, right? Thank you.